the best of money matters. Under the radar.
You're listening to Money FM 89.3, and it's now time for a special on-the-go episode of Under the Radar with me, Chua Tian Tian, where we bring you on-the-ground reports of key business events, launches, features, or developers' days. Now, I started my day with a meetup with the OpenAI team to follow up on their new GPT-5 model, which promises state-of-the-art performance across coding, math, writing assistance, health advice, visual perception, and even more. So touted as a unified system that knows how to respond quickly and when to think longer to provide expert-level responses, GPT-5 is also said to be more natural and thoughtful with fewer hallucinations. Then all OpenAI's co-founder and CEO Sam Altman described the latest version, clearly a model that is generally intelligent. Users, though, had their doubts. Some in an article by Mint said answers by the new model are shorter, while others claimed the new model had less of a personality. Altman and his GPT-5 team addressed some of the criticisms surrounding the model in a Reddit Ask Me Anything session, including a notorious chart crime. To this end, Altman said that a router function in GPT-5 was not working as it should, and that the model will appear smarter soon. Still, the company remained bullish on the business. Speaking to CNBC on Friday, Altman emphasized that OpenAI should prioritize growth and investments, even if that meant a longer timeline towards the break-even point. But how far will GPT-5 reshape the firm's growth trajectory, and how does the firm intend to navigate challenges regarding performance and pricing? Meanwhile, the release of GPT-5 comes at a crucial time for the industry when Magnificent Seven tech firms ranging from Alphabet to Meta, Amazon, and Microsoft ramp up capital expenditures on AI data centers dramatically. Per a Reuters report, the four players are expected to spend a total of close to $400 billion this fiscal year. But where does OpenAI see its place in a market that is heating up? And how far will Asia be the next battleground for AI innovation and adoption? Well, for more, I'm joined by Oliver Jay, Managing Director of International Markets at OpenAI, right from OpenAI's Singapore office. Oliver, welcome to the show.
It's great to be back.
Great to have you join us. And let's go straight to the launch of OpenAI's GPT-5 model, which is set to be a major upgrade over GPT-4o and a significant leap over other models. Now, I understand the solution is now available to all your users. We are talking about close to 700 million weekly active users here. Take us through the key improvements in GPT-5 and ChatGPT and also your API platform.
We're very excited about the launch of GPT-5. This is our most capable, most intelligent, most reliable model. And there's a few things I would highlight. On the ChatGPT side, a major innovation we unlocked here is we have one model that will select which are the actual models that we would use to answer or carry out any tasks you have. You know, in the past, users would have to come up with their own decision on whether to use our O series reasoning models or the 4o model, and GPT-5 actually handles that all for you. I think the net effect of that is really interesting because even though we've had our reasoning models, which are our most intelligent models in the past, it just wasn't as accessible. And I think with GPT-5, whenever you use ChatGPT, you will get that frontier level intelligence when you need it. And it turns out that innovation is actually a pretty difficult research problem to solve. On the API front, there's also a lot of things to be really excited about. This model, again, is our most capable one. It's designed for agentic tasks. So everything from coding, front-end development, writing, you'll see a lot of improvements on that front. We train this model on like real-life scenarios, and so we're highly confident that in the capabilities of the model and the API.
Now, if I may put in a follow-up question, right? You mentioned that GPT-5 can now select the model to solve a particular question, right, depending on its judgment. What was the rationale behind putting that functionality? Is it for speed? Is it for power usage, for instance?
That's a great question. I think it's a combination. It's just, for us, we just think it's a much more seamless user experience. If you look at our users in the past, certainly most of our free users have never experienced reasoning and our advanced models. And so this is a major improvement to a vast majority of our users. For the first time, they can experience a model that thinks. Right? We've also in the back end, the model is just a lot faster across the board. And so that is just an improvement on our engineering team to have figured that out. But for us, it's really think about making intelligence and frontier intelligence more accessible to more people. That is, I think, one of the biggest wins here.
Don't mind me asking this, or don't mind me saying this, Oliver. Some users, they had their doubts on the new model upon the rollout earlier in August. Now, some in an article by Mint said the answers by the new GPT-5 are shorter. Others claim the new model had less of a personality. And there was also chatter about a notorious chat crime. So in general, there were calls by users to bring back GPT-4o. And co-founder Sam Altman addressed some of the issues in an Ask Me Anything session on Reddit. But really, Oliver, what is your response to users' comments about the model? What are some of the operational kinks you're working through? Have they been resolved thus far?
Yeah, look, the user feedback is super interesting, especially when you have the scale that we have now, right? 700 million users. And so we hear different feedback. What is universally true, though, is we just love hearing the feedback because it tells us and reminds us just how much people love using ChatGPT. Now, at this scale, you're absolutely right. Rolling out something like this is taking a bit longer than we had planned. It is, for us, within 24 hours, our API traffic increased. I think it doubled. So it's a massive scale that we're operating with, but we're working hard. The team is listening to feedback. We're going to make 4.0 model accessible to some of our plans. We're making it more transparent, right? As you are using the model, which is the model that is actually being used. And so we're actually incorporating this feedback, and I think in short order, and you can see this in some of the feedback that Sam is interacting with the community. We're taking into account that feedback right away.
And let's talk about performance against other industry players, if I may, Oliver. How does GPT-5 compare against other AI models out in the market like Anthropic, Google DeepMind, and XAI? Because if you go by a TechCrunch article out last week, it noted that GPT-5 beats the players mentioned above on some key benchmarks by a slight margin, but it underperforms on other benchmarks. So how would you assess GPT-5's performance on the whole?
First of all, I'll say competition is something that makes the whole industry better, right? It really pushes us to make sure we have the best models out there. We're very confident in the capabilities in GPT-5. Let's take coding as an example. This is a capability that we've been developing and training with partners on real life tasks, coding tasks, and as a result, the feedback has been it's by far our best coding model, and the feedback from the industry has been very, very strong. When I think about, we've been working with industry leaders like Cursor, which is the most popular and fastest growing development tool out there right now, and working with their team in developing this, and I think they use the word remarkably intelligent, right, and the smartest model they've ever used. And so we're very confident in the capabilities of the model. And I think in the future we're just going to continue iterating and pushing the frontiers, not just on intelligence, right, but also in terms of cost, also in terms of performance. And one thing that these benchmarks don't talk about is actually what we first talked about, which is the usability, right? And I think a big innovation here is the fact that the model selector, the model picker that we have provided that auto routes your task to the most appropriate model on your behalf, that's actually a major innovation that we think increases the experience for a lot of people.
Okay, and I do want to take some time to look at the wider context in which the launch comes on top of, Oliver. The release of GPT-5, it comes at a crucial time for the industry because we are seeing Max 7 tech firms ranging from Alphabet to Meta, Amazon, Microsoft, putting or ramping up capital expenditures on AI data centers dramatically. So per a Reuters report, the four players are expected to spend a total of close to 400, I think, billion US dollars this fiscal year. Where does OpenAI see its place in a market that is increasingly heating up?
You're right. The build at this scale is very, very impressive. It's our belief that infrastructure is destiny. We think enterprises and governments that build out the most AI compute capacity today are the ones who are most well-positioned in the future to benefit from what AI can unlock, whether it's healthcare, therapeutics, advanced research, what have you. We think that underlying all that progress, you need compute. We hear this a lot. And I hear this a lot in my travels around the world, and especially in Asia. I think this is a concept that I think a lot of Asian countries and enterprises understand, that infrastructure long term is a competitive advantage. And so this is why we launched a program called OpenAI for Countries recently. And this is a program that is purpose-built to work and partner with governments to ensure that they can accelerate their AI being deployed in society. And I would say infrastructure does underpin a lot of these conversations.
I see. And, I do want to talk about costing as well, because TechCrunch noted that the top-level GPT-5 API costs $1.25 per 1 million tokens of input and $10 for 1 million tokens for output. Now, a lot of jargon in here, but basically what TechCrunch noted was that the pricing of GPT-5 model is low, and so much so that it could potentially spark a price war. What is your response to such comments?
First thing I'd say is the token price dropping as AI progresses is something that we expect. We've seen in the past, and what we're focused on is solving problems, and as many problems economically for as many businesses and users as possible. And so absolutely, optimizing and driving efficiencies on costs is something that what we've seen is it unlocks a lot of new use cases. And that's what excites us, is every time we're able to make progress on that front, we see a commensurate increase in just the number of real-life problems that people are using AI to solve for. That's what we're laser focused on.
So would it be right to understand that the pricing comes as a result of increased efficiency and not so much as a move to capture additional market share in that sense?
It's a complex question that for us, like our focus is around capturing market share. And part of that is around driving optimization.
Okay.
So it's not an inherent trade-off.
Okay. Now, we're just tuning in when I'm in conversation with Oliver Jay, Managing Director of International Strategy and Operations at OpenAI. Well, Oliver, speaking of competition, how far will Asia be the next battleground for AI innovation and adoption? In particular, with the rise in Chinese AI players like DeepSeek, or will majority of the game still be played in the US?
From what I see, as someone in charge of international at OpenAI, I see the battleground for AI is everywhere. You're seeing it. There's competition everywhere because everyone wants to adopt those frontier technologies. I think we see this in Asia. I think ultimately at the end of the day, countries will need to decide, right, which direction fits their values and priorities. Right, we've always believed that AI should be developed in a transparent, open, and accountable way. But in Asia, you're seeing a lot of momentum here. In Asia, our usage in ChatGPT, a number of users has tripled year over year. And then you see in some countries, you just see escape velocity. Like Thailand and Vietnam, they're up like 8 times this year, and so you're really seeing the adoption of AI in Asia being there's a lot of attention and a lot of action in this region.
I see. Now, speaking to CNBC on Friday, OpenAI's co-founder Sam Altman emphasized that OpenAI should prioritize growth and investments, and that's even if that meant a longer timeline towards profitability. So the question then here is, how far will GPT-5 reshape your growth trajectory? And is it right to understand that OpenAI is now on the charm offensive to grow its market share then?
What I'd say is GPT-5 is is not just a feature. It really is a core enabler for many things in society, right? We think the advanced intelligence, the increased capabilities with coding and software development, right? It has a potential to unlock new industries, and some of these industries are hugely beneficial for humanity when we think about healthcare and education and such. And so that's how we think about it, is just expanding what is really possible. And we think GPT-5 certainly helps us on that path. Profitability is absolutely important. But when we think about long term, we think the impact of the technology over the long run is a great leading indicator. And so we're really, really focused on just continuing to unlock new use cases.
And in the meantime, Oliver, OpenAI announced earlier in August the launch of 2 open-weight language models that deliver strong real-world performance at low cost. So basically 2 open-source models, unlike the closed models in your GPT-3 and GPT-4. Why did the firm broaden its approach to AI innovation, and how far will an open source approach help OpenAI improve on its in-house closed models? That's one, and develop more downstream use cases, and that's 2. Why is it needed at this point in time?
We're excited about the launch of our open weight models here. We launched 2 frontier level models, I think a large one and a small one, and we're very excited to see what can be done. We think these models give a lot more flexibility for developers and governments and countries to think about building solutions on-premise or even on-device. Right, the small model can run on a laptop. And so this is the first time this has happened, and we're really excited to see how people and how developers build using these models. And that the insight and those learnings will come back and improve, and we'll take those learnings, and I believe those learnings will help both our open source thinking as well as our own hosted models.
And finally, Oliver, a Financial Times report out earlier in August 2025 said OpenAI is in talks with investors on a deal that could value the firm at $500 billion USD. Now, if that is truly the case, that would make OpenAI the most valuable private technology group in the world, beyond SpaceX. Is that the ambition, and what can you tell us at this point?
You have to talk to my CFO about the valuation. I can tell you that I think when people value companies, and I used to be a venture investor myself, the valuation is driven by the impact of your product and the strength of your business. And I think on that front, I think we're doing well. As you mentioned, our growth in just 2.5 years, we're around 700 million weekly users now. And in some areas like Asia, we're tripling that kind of usage. The number of businesses are starting to adopt ChatGPT in an accelerated rate. So just in June, we had about 3 million businesses using our Chat for Work platform, and now we have 5 million. So you're really seeing that accelerated adoption, and I think it's this enterprise adoption plus continued accelerated rate in terms of how people are adopting our models and ChatGPT. I think that underlies the strength of our business, and also tells you a little sign about the impact that we're having.
And a quick one before I let you go, Oliver. What are some future plans for OpenAI for the rest of this year and into the next? What can we expect in Asia or in Singapore?
We're laser focused on continuing to build out and improve our models. So I think you can see that you'll see us make improvements in terms of capability, so smarter, more capable, intelligent models, reliability, so models that can follow instructions more and more and better, and trust, so models that behave and the way they are designed to. I think Singapore, we are growing very, very quickly, and so we're hiring many, many roles. There's just yesterday I couldn't find a meeting room anymore, and so I think you'll just see us continue to build the foundations here. We're working with some great companies. There's Grab and Sea, Singapore Tourism Board, Singapore Airlines. I think that list will grow significantly. And so we'll build the team to support those companies as we grow.
Exciting days ahead indeed. Thanks so much for the insights, Oliver. That was Oliver Jay, Managing Director of International Strategy and Operations at OpenAI. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And this is an on-the-go special of Under the Radar with me, Chua Tian Tian, signing off from OpenAI's office right here in Singapore.
Before acting on the information on Money FM, please consider if it's suitable for your own investment objectives, financial situation, and risk tolerance. To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.